Hello Cancer. This is a tarot reading for you for the month of February. Usually I prefer to do timeless readings, but I thought maybe once a month I could do some monthly predictions. I'm using my own tarot cards. I call this deck the Tarot of Duality. It has 108 cards, and at the end I'm going to pull some extra cards from two other decks that I made in the last 2 days. And overall, I am getting a quite positive vibe from your reading, but it's streaked with some darkness as well. Like there's something in the background that still seems to bother you a little bit or scare you. I feel like you could have gone through something and recently, maybe in January, already started to feel a relief. Like not that you were entirely relieved from the situation, but maybe there was an improvement. And I feel like this will strengthen in February and you will be able to move on from whatever it is that you have gone through. I also feel like February could feel like an early spring to you, like emotionally, psychologically, because I think you have dealt with something and I don't know what it is that helped you get through whatever trauma or drama or bad experience it was. Something helped you through, even if it was only yourself. Yeah. So it will just feel like a blossoming, like spring to you. And maybe wherever you live, if you live in a place where it's cold in winter, I know it's not cold everywhere in all parts of the world, but in my area it is cold. And maybe it is also that literally February will be warmer than usual. I'm getting something about that as well. But especially in your psyche and emotions, there will be just this feeling of spring. Like even if it's not there yet outside, you will already feel it and you will feel warm within yourself. That's what I'm seeing too. Like you will be just able to finally get this entire relief somehow, drop it, whatever it was that was burdening you, just leave it behind. In the second row, I'm seeing a lot of happiness and just a sense of completeness. Also, there's a lot of bravery. It could be that you will be less triggered by things. You will be less scared when certain thoughts arise that usually just scared the hell out of you. Yeah, just things that made you panic, or when people look at you in a certain way, even strangers on the street, maybe it will just not touch you so badly anymore. Or I don't know, if you post something or if you apply somewhere and you get a negative feedback, that this is just, you will not be scared of that anymore. That's how I feel as well. And you will just be, maybe also you didn't try a lot of things out of fear, and this will change too. Like you will just completely jump into something. Anyway, despite all those positive cards, we have this poverty card here. So it could be literal, maybe even if you change inwardly regarding whatever you left behind and you drop it and you feel free, you feel brave, you feel good. Maybe you are still poor, maybe you don't have a huge income or something. It could be literally about that, but you know, there's this acceptance card and the reading is just so like deeply positive. It's not some kind of superficial positivity. It's something very profound, and that comes from a very deep inner state, and it can't be shaken easily. So I think there's just some kind of acceptance, and this poverty card doesn't have to necessarily represent some financial stuff. It can also just, be an internal kind of poverty. As I said in the beginning, I feel like there's, like everything is getting so bright, but even if we are in a very bright mood and if it comes from a very profound place, sometimes we still have some dark spots somewhere hidden in our very, very deepest subconscious or unconscious. And maybe you will feel that in a background a little bit, but this acceptance card also plays in with this totality card, and the poverty card is surrounded by that. So I think becoming so happy and so brave, you will not have a problem with accepting that there is still something within you that is still a little bit scared, but you will just know that it's not time to deal with that yet, that now your time is to be happy. And maybe in another phase of your life, you will be confronted with this tiny little thing that is still left, that still scares you a little bit. But you feel that the happiness overweighs all that little worry that is still there. And you can still deal with that when the time for that is ripe. And you will have the bravery to do so. And you have the acceptance to accept that not everything has to be a 100% perfect. It's totally enough if it's 98% perfect. You know what I mean? And it feels quite good, this reading. Very strong. At the bottom of the... It's also quite short. The other readings are always a little bit longer. At the bottom of the deck we have short-sightedness, so I don't know how to fit that into the rest of your reading. Let me take a look at all these cards. Stagnation, taking, ego, barrenness, awake, pregnancy. It's too much. I'm not getting a negative card from this short-sightedness. I don't perceive those people that I'm doing this reading for, I don't perceive them as short-sighted or irresponsible in some way. I more have the feeling, I get it, it's a positive thing, because maybe you were always worrying very far ahead into the future. How will it be in 20 years? How will it be in 2 years, in 5 years, in 30 years? Like overly focusing on the future, that just made you worry so hard because you already had some problems in the present, and you might have imagined that if you don't find a solution to these problems right now, in the future they will only increase, because our society always teaches us that we have to think through our life, we have to plan our life, we have to plan our future, we have to have everything under control. And sometimes when we have a problem that lasts for a long time and we find no solution, no matter how hard we try, then the worries get worse and worse, because we think this problem will only get worse in the next 20 years. And I think that this short-sightedness is actually a good thing for you, that you will be more able to not project too far ahead in the future anymore. So you will just calmly, lie around in the midst of the chaos and in the irresponsibility of others, and you will not be bothered by it. That's how it feels. So now I'm gonna pull something from my lifestyle deck. I'm sorry, it's not very pretty paintings. I painted them very quickly, very impatiently, because I just did these cards for myself. I put more effort in the other cards, but those 2 new decks that I created in the past 2 days, I just made them very quickly. And also for this part, please don't take anything here too literal. This is not a medical advice, even if something in that direction could come up now. You still have to use your discernment or check in with your doctor. So what do we have here? Lungs. Oh, I already pulled that for Taurus, I think. So maybe you want to make sure that during February you're not smoking too much, and especially because it's cold in many parts of the world. No, the other way around. I said earlier in the reading that it could be that wherever you live, this February, in that case, that it is warmer than usually. This can be tricky because when we think like, wow, this February is so warm, usually it's not that warm in February, that we are a little bit, I don't know how to express that in English, seduced to not wear proper winter clothing anymore. And then you could get into trouble with your respiratory system, you know, something like that. So make sure that even if you feel warm, that you're not prematurely running around in a t-shirt or pullover and still wear a jacket and a scarf. That's what I would suggest. Next one, art. Oh, that's nice. So maybe that is something that will bring you a lot of joy. Even, you know, it's not some kind of art therapy, because I feel like you will not be in need for any therapy or something like this. Maybe you are already artistic and you just like, I don't know, making music, playing drums, writing books, painting. There are so many artistic things. If you maybe you will just, you know, if you come out of a heavy phase, I understand sometimes we don't have the nerve to be creative because life sometimes is painful and hard, and then we withdraw from these things often, I think. And maybe you will just get back into that. Or if you think you don't have any artistic talent, maybe this is something that you're going to try, because I also said earlier in the reading that you will feel brave, and you, like, there's not a lot of fears that will stand in your way, and you will just explore new things without fearing the consequences of it. Like, I don't know, maybe it's a very small and childish fear to think I'm not going to paint because I can't paint, and then I will be disappointed when it doesn't look good. But I mean, come on, there can be worse. So I think now the lemon is jumping out, so maybe the lemon could help you with something, especially if you catch a cold and there's something with your lungs and throat. Maybe this could just help you to stay healthy, or if you already feel a little bit sick, to become healthy. I want one more. It's tidy and clean. You are not the only zodiac sign who has that card, so I think many people are just going to clean their apartments, maybe like an early spring cleaning. I think February is not the usual spring cleaning month, but maybe because especially for you, you have the spring card, and I said in the beginning, you will feel like for you February is already like spring, so maybe, yeah, you just will do that very early. Maybe many people will feel inspired to declutter stuff and just be in an empty and clean environment. At the bottom of the deck we have gift. This could also, yeah, maybe you receive a gift, maybe you want to give someone a gift. Maybe you will just feel like this huge relief, whatever burden it was that has been taken away from you, that this itself feels like a great gift. And with the animal messages, I haven't finished this deck. It has only 25 cards. It's very sarcastic. I have a lot more ideas to add to this deck, but I didn't have the time to finish it yet. But I will probably do that in the next few days, hopefully. What do the animals want to tell you? You have the cat. I only do what I want. Sorry, it's not sharp. Now. Yes, so I think this could represent you. Like, as I said already, you will not be bothered. You will be in completeness, in totality. You will do everything just fully involved. And I just feel like you're having very strong boundaries. And yeah, you will just not listen to anyone. You just do what you want. It doesn't always have to be a selfish or negative thing. Then we have the owl. I'm spooky and I see through you. That could mean that I think it's not someone else in your environment. I think this card also represents you. So if you have gone through something heavy and you're like tremendously healing from that and leaving that behind, it could mean that you have gathered a lot of wisdom from that, especially when you don't feel this fear around this topic anymore and you go into a very deep healing process. Why is that always struggling so much? So annoying, sorry. That it just represents a certain wisdom that you have gathered through this experience, and also that you have learned to see through people a little bit better. I want one more. And maybe, that could scare people a little bit. Maybe they will look at you a little more with respect. Sometimes we are like doormats, and I don't know, it seems like we have a sticker stuck on our forehead that makes people treat us in a certain way. And maybe even without speaking, you might carry a certain self-confidence that people might not come to you anymore and say stupid things or do stupid things. And that's why you could appear spooky to them. And the sloth, I'm lazy and I know it. That card doesn't have to be as negative as it sounds. I don't feel like you are lazy. Actually, what I'm seeing here, this is quite active. I mean, it seems like you're getting into art, you are tidying and cleaning, you are just enjoying your life, maybe you are resting a little bit after, sometimes our body, when we are stuck in the midst of drama, trauma, whatever, maybe our body sometimes is just the last level of us that is healing. Like, there is a mental understanding of what we are going through, what this trauma is. Then after we have put some order and structure, after something terrible happened, back into our minds, then we can deal with our emotions. And if we have done this inner work, then, and there's a great relief, maybe then we can just lay down and rest our bodies. I also feel this sometimes when people are like under shock or something, and deeply traumatized by something really terrible, like by war or rape or something like that, that we often cannot cry when something like that happens because we are just so shocked. And then we have to somehow try to heal our minds, then our emotions. And then when we are through all that psychological and emotional work, only after that often we will be able to cry about what actually happened. And I mean, crying is also kind of healing, especially, and it's a physical expression, so that's what I was actually aiming at, that sometimes, the body is the last of our aspects that starts to heal. So maybe this sloth card just stands for that this is your time to physically rest and heal, or to involve yourself into activities that are not too heavy on your body, like hardcore sports or something like that. And just keep moving a little bit, doing your art, tidying a bit, rest your lungs, keep your lungs protected. Yes, that's what I would say. And I'm just gonna leave it here. I hope it resonates with someone, and thank you so much for watching.